After struggling with infertility, a couple finally welcomed a daughter. And then, astonishingly, became parents to septuplets in their next attempt at having another child. Their journey to this extraordinary situation was certainly challenging. This tale is a testament to the power of faith, the miracles that can happen, and the essence of true love during the toughest circumstances. Bobby and Kenny McCoffey, deeply in love, tied the knot with dreams of building a family together. Unfortunately, Bobby was diagnosed with a dysfunctional pituitary gland which led to fertility issues. In 1996, their prayers were answered with the birth of their daughter, Michaela Marie. As Michaela grew, the couple decided to try for another child. Following a specialist's advice, they embarked on fertility treatments, using a drug called Metrodin to stimulate ovulation. The McCoffeys had no idea what to expect from the treatment. During a routine checkup, their doctor delivered news that left them astounded. They weren't expecting one child, but 7. It was the first time Bobby and Kenny had ever encountered the term septuplets. The news brought a mix of overwhelming joy and anticipation. Suddenly, it was disclosed that there were significant risks involved for both Bobby and the infants. An expert advised the couple to consider selective reduction, a procedure to terminate some embryos to enhance the survival chances of others. Faced with a barrage of emotional and practical choices, Bobby and Kenny had to decide. Despite the perceived dangers of sustaining all 7 embryos, they chose to proceed with the pregnancy and prepare for septuplets. While Bobby and Kenny were confident in their decision, it sparked controversy amongst the public. Many argued that the decision to keep all the babies wasn't theirs to make. Despite the backlash, the couple persevered and advanced with their plans. As word spread throughout their hometown of Carlisle, Iowa, the community began to rally in support. This was an unprecedented event, and the McCoffeys were soon inundated with assistance. Contributions included a plethora of diapers, free nanny services, a year's supply of mac and cheese, and even a van to accommodate their expanding family. The outpouring of support was overwhelming, and among the generous donations was a remarkable gift of a 5,000 square foot house specifically for them. And just when they thought they had received it all, a year's supply of groceries arrived. The days leading up to the birth were tense with anxiety due to the unusual nature of the pregnancy. Yet there was also a prevailing sense of hope and excitement. Preparations for the arrival of the septuplets were in full swing as Bobby's due date approached. However, in an unforeseen turn of events, on November 19, 1997, Bobby was urgently taken to the hospital, with only 9 weeks remaining until her expected delivery date. Bobby was rushed into an early cesarean section as the septuplets decided it was time to arrive. Within a rapid 6-minute span, all 7 babies were born, expanding their small family of 3 to a bustling household of 10. The septuplets, consisting of 3 boys and 4 girls, were named Kenny Kenneth Robert, Alexis May, Natalie Sue, Kelsey and, who was the smallest, Nathan Roy, Brandon James, and Joel Stevens. Despite the joy, the initial phase was challenging. Alexis was born with a muscular disorder that made eating painful and difficult, while her sister Natalie struggled with painful acid reflux during meals. The birth of septuplets was a rare event, and for the hospital staff involved in the delivery, It was an extraordinary experience. 2 days post-delivery, the entire medical team gathered for a commemorative photo. News of Bobby's early labor sent journalists flocking to the Iowa Methodist Hospital Center in Des Moines, with many camping out in the parking lot, turning it into a major news event. However, journalists had to wait much longer than expected. It was 3 months and 10 days before Bobby was cleared to leave the hospital. Upon discharge, the couple didn't just walk out alone but were shielded by a team from the throng of reporters, ensuring their safe passage to their new van and away from the hospital grounds. Outside their home, police officers were stationed to protect the family from media intrusion, a security measure that continued until they moved into their new residence. The day they relocated to their new home marked a significant milestone for the McCoffey family. Relocating to the 5,500 square foot residence wasn't just a simple move. It included a notable ceremony where everyone gathered in the garage. Lloyd Clark, the chairman of Clark Company, joyously handed over the keys to Kenny amidst the smiles and excitement of those present. In December 1997, Bobby and Kenny were taken by surprise when Time magazine reached out to them for a feature, making them realize that their septuplets fame had spread nationwide, not just in their local area. While numerous reporters and news agencies discussed the septuplets story, many had not actually investigated it themselves. ABC News Primetime was the pioneer in broadcasting their story on television, while other media outlets generally echoed what they reported. With the extensive media attention, the McCoffey inevitably faced some criticism, with some pointing out the environmental impact of having such a large family. Despite these criticisms, Bobby and Kenny remained undeterred. They had initially been swept up in the excitement of their extraordinary situation but soon decided it was crucial to establish a more ordinary, private life. They resolved to limit public appearances, coming forward only during their children's birthdays. The Dion quintuplets, who were born in 1934 in Ontario, Canada, and experienced exploitation as public spectacles, played a role in this decision. The Dions advised the McCoffey on the risks of excessive public exposure and its potential harm, sharing their challenging personal experiences. Taking this advice to heart, Bobby and Kenny shifted their focus to the immediate needs and daily challenges of raising their children, such as managing the daunting task of daily laundry, which consumed a significant portion of their day. In fact, each week they found themselves doing approximately 17 loads of laundry. And to keep pace with these demands, they had to purchase 2 washers and 2 dryers. Given the volume of daily laundry, one can only imagine the sheer number of diapers required daily. On average, the septuplets went through about 52 diapers and consumed around 42 bottles each day. Bobby faced an exhausting task, as she had to pump breast milk for all 7 babies. This meant she needed to produce between 4 and 5 gallons of milk weekly, a routine that continued until the babies reached 3 months of age. Potty training can be quick if approached correctly. The McCoffey parents had successfully potty trained their eldest daughter, Michaela, in just 4 days. However, training 7 children simultaneously proved to be an entirely different challenge, and they anticipated it would take several months. It goes without saying, but 2 parents alone could not handle the septuplets and their 1-year-old daughter without additional help. Assistance came from a network of volunteers including friends, family, and community members who helped with everything from cleaning to entertaining the babies. Surprisingly, Even construction workers updating the McCoffeys' home pitched in by taking turns to care for and play with the babies. The assistance from the community was undoubtedly remarkable. But the support from family was unparalleled. Despite the presence of roughly 70 volunteers, Michaela Marie, a special young helper, took it upon herself to be particularly involved in assisting with her siblings. The eldest child of the McCoffeys played a crucial role in caring for and entertaining their younger siblings. The assistance they received was truly a godsend. Although the family still faced numerous challenges. With 8 children all under the age of 2. Financial pressures were significant. To cope, the couple decided to purchase groceries in bulk, which helped them cut down their monthly food expenses to about $300. The local community, though accustomed to seeing septuplets, remained fascinated each time they saw the children being pushed in their large, luxurious strollers. To further reduce expenses, the McCoffeys started a vegetable garden. This not only cut costs but also provided fresh produce for the family. Regular medical checkups for the septuplets were essential. A demanding task given the logistics of managing 7 toddlers of the same age simultaneously. The children were always under close watch. The importance of breakfast is well known. And interestingly, it was also the favorite meal of the McCoffey twins. It's said that babies can have their own secret language, known as cryptophagia, particularly among multiples like twins or septuplets. In the McCoffey household, the septuplets used this unique form of communication, creating a private language that only they could understand. Each birthday of the septuplets was more than just a celebration. It was a moment to give thanks for the extraordinary blessing Bobby and Kenny had received. Every year, as the children grew older, their birthdays were not just festive occasions but also a time for gratitude and reflection. While their birthdays were not only occasions for celebration, they served as moments to express gratitude to God for maintaining their health and happiness. Each passing year validated the McCoffeys' decision to keep the babies. Bobby and Kenny encountered unexpected challenges, one of which was managing the diverse clothing needs of the septuplets. Though all the same age, their clothing sizes varied. As the children continued to grow, the demand for new clothes increased. Unfortunately, their older sister Michaela couldn't supply enough hand-me-downs to meet their needs. However, the children's apparel company, Carter's, stepped in to provide clothing for the septuplets until they reached the age of 5. The fascination with the septuplets didn't wane as they grew older. The extent of their fame became clear when President Bill Clinton personally called Bobby and Kenny, expressing his best wishes. In subsequent years, they also had the opportunity to meet President George W. Bush. Bobby vividly remembers President Clinton's call, particularly his encouraging words about her potential future career capabilities due to her exceptional organizational skills, a conversation she would never forget. Moreover, their local state governor, Iowa's Terry Branstad, was eager to meet the McCoffey septuplets personally, which was an exciting event for everyone involved. On the topic of birthday celebrations, when the septuplets turned 4, they shared just one cake with 4 candles. This was Bobby and Kenny's way of teaching them the value of sharing and contentment with what they have. It's interesting to note that each of the septuplets displayed unique traits and personalities, making them distinct in their own ways. Each child in the family had a distinct role that contributed to their unique dynamic. Kenny Jr., known as the family clown, kept everyone entertained, while Joel and Natalie were the scholars of the bunch. Brandon was not only the bravest but also the most headstrong. Kenny Jr. also stood out as the quintessential little adventurer, often found exploring places he shouldn't. Among the septuplets, he was the most playful and mischievous. Parents Bobby and Kenny had their own unique descriptors for each of their children. Alexis was kind and insightful. Joel was reserved and contemplative. Kelsey combined athleticism with a flair for fashion. Kenny Jr. was the ambitious one. Nathan was resolute. Brandon was sociable and sporty. And Natalie excelled in her pursuits, always striving for perfection. With such a large family, Bobby and Kenny were well aware of their responsibilities but also knew the importance of maintaining their relationship. They deliberately set aside one night each week for a date to ensure their bond remained strong. Despite a hectic schedule, they made sure to create memorable experiences for their children. Like the special trip to Disney World in Orlando. This family outing even caught the attention of Ladies' Home Journal, which featured the children on the cover and included an article about them on their 8th birthday, offering insights for other parents. In 2001, the septuplets had the privilege of meeting President George W. Bush, although the children were too young to fully appreciate who he was. The president was certainly aware of their unique story. The occasion required the children to dress uniformly, with matching outfits for the boys and girls alike. As the children grew, the idea of a reality show based on their family life was floated by some TV networks. However, Bobby and Kenny were not in favor of the idea and decided against it. Bobby and Kenny were keen on providing a typical upbringing for their children, despite the media attention. Although there were occasional exceptions to their privacy, such as during birthdays when the media would update the public on the septuplets' progress. Notably, Ann Curry from the Today Show often reported on the children and even celebrated their 13th birthday with a special broadcast featuring 91 candles. When the septuplets enrolled in Carlisle High School, they instantly became a sensation, being the first septuplets to walk its halls. Nonetheless, it wasn't long before they integrated smoothly and started forming friendships. Premature birth can lead to health issues. And for the McCoffey septuplets, this was the case for Alexis and Nathan, who were both diagnosed with cerebral palsy, affecting their mobility. Despite this, the condition didn't deter them from pursuing their aspirations. Nathan, motivated by his desire to walk, gradually worked towards his goal daily. Alexis, despite more severe cerebral palsy, achieved the title of Teen Miss Dreams Made True in 2013 and continued to inspire everyone she met. Before long, the septuplets celebrated their 16th birthday amidst the excitement of learning to drive, marking a step closer to adulthood. However, the cost of driving lessons was a significant expense for the family. Therefore, their father decided it was the perfect opportunity to impart an important lesson to his children. Kenny felt it was essential for his kids to understand the value of money and recognize that it wasn't just readily available. His son, Kenny Jr., shared with NBC News that from his experiences, they were raised with the principle that hard work was necessary to achieve desires. Despite their extraordinary birth story and unique upbringing, as they entered their teenage years, they were typical teens experiencing love and starting part-time jobs to make their own money. Some even began driving as soon as they turned 18. Life appeared quite altered for their parents at this stage. Each parent was eager to provide guidance to the septuplets, finding it quite a task to counsel so many simultaneously. In May 2016, all 7 children graduated from high school, an event Kenny and Bobby found almost unbelievable, as the years seemed to have flown by. Post-graduation, each child pursued their path. Alexis and Kenny Jr. chose to continue their education at a local college in Des Moines, where Alexis graduated as valedictorian of her class. Brandon joined the U.S. Army, fulfilling his lifelong ambition to serve, an aspiration he held since he was just 3 years old. Kenny Jr., naturally skilled with his hands, pursued carpentry passionately and began accumulating a portfolio of impressive projects. The McCoffey children were fortunate to receive enticing academic offers from various institutions, enhancing their educational journeys. Iowa announced that the septuplets could attend any state university they chose. Meanwhile, Hannibal LaGrange University in Missouri offered scholarships to all the siblings. Nathan, Natalie, Kelsey, and Joel accepted this opportunity at Hannibal LaGrange. Lexi, another member of the McCoffey family, pursued her passion for early childhood education and often shares her insights through her social media platforms. The family also boasts a budding scientist, Nathan, who has shown promise of achieving great things, though it's said in jest that he could be the next Einstein. Kelsey, who was part of her school band, is set to make her mark in the music industry after her time at Hannibal LaGrange. Contrary to the belief there's only one scientist in the family, Joel is also making strides, focusing on computer science. Natalie aims high as well, dedicated to educating young minds as an elementary school teacher. As all septuplets transition into this new phase of life, their diverse talents and ambitions continue to shine. Bobby and Kenny experienced a challenging adjustment as they transitioned from a bustling household to a serene, empty one. We've discussed the destinations of the septuplets. But what about their older sister? She pursued her studies at Des Moines and Arizona State University. Michaela Marie has found love and married, and has experienced the joy of having children. Every day, Bobby and Kenny reflect on their fortune in having their children, despite others advising them to consider selective reduction. Their opposition to selective reduction is firm. They would argue against it by inviting critics to their home to decide which 4 children they shouldn't have had. Bobby and Kenny believe fervently that the birth of their septuplets was a divine blessing. They feel so grateful for this blessing that they decided to share their story in a book titled 7 from Heaven. It wasn't merely a book chronicling their adventures. Photographers Andrea Melendez, Holly McQueen, and Rodney White had the unique privilege of capturing images of the septuplets. These photographs continue to bring joy to the entire McCoffey family as they look back on them year after year. Annually, the septuplets would pose for the camera, creating a memorable collage. Can you identify each one from the top left going clockwise? Kelsey, Kenny, Natalie, Michaela, the oldest, Alexis, Brandon, Nathan, and Joel. Years later, and Curry, who originally reported on the septuplets, revisited them in 2016. Astonished by how much they had grown since she first met them as children. A burning question remains on many people's minds. Might any of the septuplets themselves have septuplets? However, Medical experts suggest this is unlikely due to the non-hereditary nature of the fertility treatment that helped Bobby conceive them. Now, 2 decades after the birth of the McCoffey septuplets, Bobby and Kenny reflected in an interview whether they'd change anything about their lives or their journey. Their answer, accompanied by broad smiles, was a resounding no. Bobby and Kenny McCoffey exemplify a profound life lesson. Believing more deeply can lead to achieving more, sometimes even sevenfold. After watching the story above, do you have any thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. That's all about today's stories. See you next time.